Hi, Salvador. Welcome to the PowerTalk Show powered by Business Talks Weekly. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and joining our channel today. Can you tell us a bit about your professional background and what led to the creation of the Spanish group?
Of course. So my name is Salvador Ordorica. I'm the founder of the Spanish Group. We're a global language translation and localization company. The company was founded about 12 years ago, and it was in response to underserved language translation needs within the United States. And we've since then expanded internationally. We operate in over 30 countries, and we have a pretty large global footprint in the translation and localization space.
Wonderful. That's very interesting. And I read that you are a two-tier certified language translation company. Can you tell us, like, why is it important for a company to have local translated documents?
Primarily two reasons. The first is, of course, legal, because we live in such litigious societies. Pretty much every country around the world at this point is people are kind of looking for lawsuits. And a lot of times, employees, if they're signing contracts or signing human resources documents, they might, if they don't speak the local language, like let's say it's a contract in German for a German company and the employee only speaks Arabic, they can usually win in a legal case that they didn't understand what they were signing. So providing a certified translation by a certified translator, so somebody that's responsible for the document with a certification, that's definitely a way to to mitigate this legal risk. And then I would say that the second main point, the second reason, compelling reason why a company would want to have documents translated, more so even like websites, marketing material, would really just be to expand the reach of customers that they're able to retain or to attract. So it's so easy nowadays to have your website professionally translated into so many languages. As long as you have staff able to help those customers in those language, I always recommend to just translate in as many languages as you have different types of customers, so that each customer has a more fine-tuned experience, which definitely increases conversion rate for customers when prospecting websites or deciding between your company or another company.
Absolutely, absolutely. Salvador, so does it also help in sales, in selling your product or services in the local language? Because, I believe communication helps, but having the documents in the local language, does it help in selling?
Definitely think so. I definitely think that having the documents in the local language helps. It definitely helps sales. Like I said, customers that are viewing content, they're viewing documents that are in their language. Let's say, for example, in the United States, the largest secondary language spoken is Spanish. So companies are very intelligent to market, not only to have translations, not only to have translations of their documentation, marketing material, product descriptions in Spanish or other languages, but also to localize it too. So that might mean culturally adapting the content so that it resonates with the target audience.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. And Salvador, I want to understand why there is no one single language across all. Like, why we cannot choose English as a common language for all the legal materials that we have, whatever country that we live in.
And that's a good question. I think that English is a very common language to be used, legally speaking. I think that a lot of international business is conducted in English and international legal disputes are conducted in English. However, there is maybe in areas like North America or Europe, English is really common. It's really common for people to speak English as a second language. Even in Latin America, it's very common, parts of Africa also. But in Asia and many parts of Asia, it's not very common to have a high level of English. So that would just make it more difficult to really require that English be the international illegal language. But I think that it's slowly on the path to becoming that, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily something positive or not. It definitely has pros and cons.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Salvador, what got you into this business? Like, was it some personal challenge that you went through that you've established this business? What actually led you to the creation of this company?
Yeah, so I saw that when I was younger, I was helping a family friend through the immigration process in the United States, and I saw how difficult it was to just easily get a certified translation, and how many steps it was, so how many steps was required. And personally, I've always been fascinated by languages. I'm a language lover, and I love international culture. So I just decided to. I had a website. I used to offer translation services myself, and I made a website to do it more professionally. And then I started hiring certified translators, and then it sort of snowballed from there. And I decided not to pursue law school, and instead focus full time on the Spanish group.
That's very interesting. And Salvador, as you mentioned, like you are a language lover. How many languages do you speak? And how many languages of services do you offer translation through Spanish group?
Of course. I speak English, Spanish, and French. I've been learning Mandarin for the past few years. It's pretty difficult, so I'm definitely not really counting that. I'm just still learning that. And then in terms of the number of languages that our company translates, we professionally translate over 130 languages. So we have a very large team of translators, proofreaders, language professionals, and interpreters for pretty much
Absolutely brilliant. And how does the process work, Salvador? If you can tell us, like, if I want to have a legal document translated, how does the process work? How do I reach out to you? How
of
do I
course.
send you the document? And then
Of
how do you
course.
provide the document back to me?
Yeah, most customers would just find us on our website, thespanishgroup.org, and then you can either request pricing or just go ahead and place your order. Customers that usually request pricing, they're usually comparing with other companies, or they're in the preliminary phase of like, let's say their boss says, okay, we need our employee manuals translated into these three different languages, get quotes. So that's more of like a preliminary stage. So they would request a quote, and then they'd usually make a decision within a few weeks. Or if you're ready to get started, you could just go ahead and place an order on the website directly, and it'll calculate the word count. It'll calculate the total amount, and every translation comes with certification and is proofread and formatted exactly like the original document. So that's another little plus is that we provide, let's say, especially with like marketing documents where they use softwares like InDesign or Microsoft Publisher. They're kind of hard to work with, but we do those. We do those free of charge, and we render the product exactly the same as the source document that we received.
So that means if I have a PDF in a different format, I can upload it to your platform and then you give me in a PDF format with the localized language.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, like,
That's brilliant.
yeah.
So, Salvador, I want to understand how technology comes into the play here. We have AI platforms, and there are so many platforms that are currently offering translation services. So, how are you competing with them, and how are you differentiating from them?
Of course. So this is a very common question that's brought up almost every interview, almost every professional interaction. Really, AI translation hasn't really had an impact on this industry simply because the people that were using Google Translate before are now using ChatGPT. It's I personally think it's great. If it's one sentence, a few sentences, if it's not something that's intended for professional or legal use or for marketing or anything really creative or literature. So, I mean, basic greetings, how to translate a basic phrase. I think that that's just fine to have done with AI translation or Google Translate. The difference is that we provide translation that's legally certified and legally valid. So I would say about half of our customers engage us because at some point those documents are going to end up in court or before an immigration official to determine if this person is going to be able to immigrate or not, or they're going to be published on a website that serves millions of people. In those cases, the stakes are just too high. I mean, in the first two, you wouldn't even be able to present a document unless it was a certified translator that provided it. So, like for immigration, governmental, or legal purposes. And then for marketing, I mean, it's just a bad idea. That's just a really bad idea. I just, and also like safety wise too, I'm never gonna forget. I remember this one woman that I spoke with about 7 years ago on the phone. She worked for a chemical manufacturing company in somewhere in like Iowa or something in the United States. And she told me, she was like, "Oh, hey, this seems kind of pricey to translate the standardized operating procedures for how to handle these toxic chemicals. So, I'm just gonna do it on Google Translate." And it's just, I mean, just think about what she
My God.
said, that she's going to Google Translate the operating procedures for how her company's employees should handle toxic chemical and their disposal. So I don't know what happened to her, but I wish I did so she could be a good case study for our company.
Absolutely. And do you have any case study that you would like to share with us?
I think mostly just the power that translating your website into multiple languages. It's something that's very low impact in terms of it's really low cost to have your website and your web pages translated into, let's say, the top 3 or 4 languages that your company wishes to offer or has clients that are in those regions. And then also just doing SEO, doing search engine optimization, because this is something a lot of people don't think about, but when you're translating your website, you're also translating those keywords. And when you're translating those keywords, they'll begin to rank organically. Our website is translated into like 8 different languages currently. They're the 8 most common languages that we offer. And we rank for all of those keywords, translation related terms in German, French, Portuguese, Russian. You can imagine that was something that was done a few years ago, and we're still reaping the benefits right now. And then, of course, if you're a customer visiting us from, let's say, Brazil or Portugal, you're definitely going to feel more comfortable viewing the content in Portuguese and then seeing that the images and the colors are kind of localized for people coming from that background, from that language, as opposed to the main English site.
Absolutely. That's very interesting. Go local. So, Salvador, what has been your biggest challenge for growth? Where are you facing challenges in scale to scale the business?
I would say the primary challenge to scaling the business would mainly be just areas of expansion, just because we're already operating in North and South America, in Europe, some parts of Asia, but in a lot of areas, it's a bit difficult to compete with the local competitors, which might offer the services at much lower prices. And we are an American company, so at times it is a bit difficult to compete. But other than that, I think at the end of the day, we're such an established translation company, and we're known for offering very high quality. And we're known for being the option that is pretty much guaranteed to be accepted for any legal or official purpose. So at that point, I mean, personally, I am somebody that if I'm applying for an immigration related process or a legal process, I'm triple checking everything. I'm not taking any risks, especially when it comes to immigration. And I'm, definitely trying to choose the right option. I'm trying to choose the option that'll have the least impact, least negative impact, or most likely to succeed.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Salvador, what's your vision for the next 3, 5 years? What are you looking towards? Where are you heading?
I think that the vision is just to continue to reinforce the areas and the markets that we currently serve, to expand more into healthcare and education technology in Anglo-Saxon countries such as the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, to expand our footprint within Europe and Latin America. But I think that the primary objective is to really double down into healthcare and educational technology, like online learning platforms, which is something that's very translation services are very, very in demand. Just the same way as going back to what I referenced before, I think we can imagine why, because if all the content's in English and it's purely just a content-based learning platform, if you're able to translate the content into Spanish, French, you can expand your audience base. You can expand your potential audience base a lot for quite a minimal investment relative to the potential ROI you could have.
That's amazing. So, one final question that I actually ask all my guests. What advice did you get that changed your perspective professionally and personally?
Oh, that's a really good question. I actually think it would be to let go of trying to do everything yourself. So that was my issue when we were a startup company. I would try to do everything by myself. I remember some people would say, "You're the whole enchilada. You're doing everything by yourself." So just a recipe for being burnt out, recipe for being really stressed out. So start to hire people to replace the processes and the jobs that you feel like you can only do. Usually you aren't special. There's no reason why you can do this like better than somebody else, especially if that other person has had specific training and how to do the process. So definitely learning to delegate your responsibilities to people that are more intelligent than you, more capacitated to do the job for you than you are. And then once it's in their plate, you'll see, oh my gosh, wow, like they're focusing on just this or just these few things and they're able to do it so much better than I could. I can't believe it. That was at least what I thought. And it was really liberating. And I'm sure my cortisol levels also dropped a lot. My life expectancy probably went back up because I just remember at one point, just I think the hardest part of being a startup is when it's just you and everything is just on you. That's
Absolutely. And that's what, as a founder, you need to actually give away a few things, give the task and delegate to others so that even they grow and your company grows and you feel less burnout. So that's an amazing advice. Thank you. Thank you, Salvador. Thank you so much for giving us time and joining us today. It was a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you so much. My pleasure to be here.